Where's all the people? Good evening, all.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Looks like we have everybody we need to start. Elisa, you ready? All right. So I'm calling this meeting to order at 7:33 p.m. on November 9th, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. One nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty for all. Thank you. You may be seated. May I please have roll call?
Alderman Ventura Morel,
Here.
Alderman Coop,
Here.
Alderman Scott Childress,
Here.
Alderman Worthington,
Here.
Alderman Tollerman,
Here.
Alderman Davis,
Here.
Alderman O'Reilly,
Here.
Alderman Shabbat,
Here.
Alderman Hirsch.
Here. We have a quorum. I have a motion to dispense with the minutes of the previous meeting and approve same. Motion by Rennie Scott Childress, second by Tony Davis. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. Just remember, if you could lift your thumbs up a little higher, because sometimes it gets stuck in under your name. Thank you. Can I have a motion to dispense with the reading of the general bills? Motion by Steve Shabbat, second by Rennie Scott Childress. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. Oops. Sorry, just getting text about public speaking. We're now entering into the public speaking portion of the meeting. We have allotted 30 minutes. I believe we have 8 names on our list. Please state your name and address for the record, and then before you address the council. Can I have the first speaker, please?
Iona Ross,
Hi, Ilona Ross here in Olive Bridge, New York, and this is about the Kingstonian. You've read the Bender legal team's letter by now, I'm sure, so I'm not going to even broach those arguments. And as you know, I have my own. In case you haven't noticed, there's not much documentation online about the benefits of pilots and other tax breaks after the fact proof. Why would that be? Because the economic development experts are wrong. The only online comment I could find about a projection from Camoin Associates, and that's the company that the developers used, was from someone who did hire Camoin, and to that person's chagrin, the revenue and the other projected benefits were 1/3 of what Camoin had predicted. And as to the other economic companies, I took a class in Python recently, and I presented their projections about the Kingstonian for a class assignment where we were asked to provide examples of bad statistics because this kind of shenanigans is so common nowadays. And everyone got a laugh when I told them that I called the software manufacturer, who said the software was only good for projecting out a maximum of 5 years, but that the economic development companies had made projections 10 or 20 years out to pump up the numbers. So basically, the economic benefits that you've been told about, they're not going to happen. A public figure recently noticed, Scott Galloway, I don't know if any of you listened to him, he recently noted that in the past few decades, the number of journalists has been cut in half and the number of public relations flacks has increased 6-fold, which translates into a 12-fold increase in bull twaddle. And I'm afraid that you have bought some of that. And now let's talk about the profit the investors are going to take home. And you'll notice the developers and the investors, they don't talk about it. And why would they? Because they know it would shock the conscience of any observer with a moral compass. I'm pretty sure that they're going to make a minimum of 80 million if they hold for 10 years. And I'm not pulling those numbers out of my hat. They come from the St. Louis Fed. The developers, they've put in about 6 million of their own cash according to their own filings. And because of the opportunity zone exemption, they won't pay anything in tax upon sale. And based upon the St. Louis Fed numbers, they're going to make at least 80 million if they sell after 10 years and more than 100 million if they wait longer. And that's, of course, if they just sell it the regular way and that it's not a pre-construction condo project, the way some people are saying. So a minimum of 80 million, it's not bad on a 6 million investment. And there's no tax on that. And that doesn't include the money they're going to make running the place over the next decade. So I need to ask you, how does it feel to give that much money tax-free to your cronies? Who needs Donald Trump? Who needs the Koch brothers when there's Kingston's Common Council? Bezos and Amazon would do fine with you. You may have noticed that Dave Donaldson was voted out in what was essentially a referendum on the Kingstonian tax break. Many of you were reelected not because you were liked or respected, but because there were no viable candidates. That state of affairs isn't going to hold, and you can expect more competition the next time around. There were rumors that some of you didn't really want to vote for the pilot, but you did so because you thought the school board was going to vote it down for you. Well, you saw what happened there. And it would be so nice if some of you would show a little courage now. And of course, I'm only talking about those of you who don't stand to benefit directly from an apartment or your own investment. You're asking the rest of Kingston to pay in part for this boondoggle, to put tens, if not hundreds of millions of tax-free dollars in a few rich men's pockets. And you're asking the people of Kingston to pay that difference. You tell me, what is the difference between subsidizing Amazon, between what the Koch brothers lobbied for Reagan's tax cuts that benefited the wealthy, from the Bush and the Clinton deregulation that benefited the wealthy, from Trump's tax cuts that benefited the wealthy and his cronies, and what you are doing? And you can't tell me what the difference is because there is none. You're not Democrats, you're not Republicans, you're crony capitalists. And some of you are selling out for political advancement or for your own greed. I am ashamed that you are my common counsel. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Jean Jacobs.
Jean, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you
Hi,
hear
Jean.
me?
Yes, you're
Hi.
good. You're all set. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity this evening, Madam President. My name is Jean Jacobs. I'm a lifelong resident. I currently reside on Wall Street in the city of Kingston. What prompted my reason to speak tonight, I'm using my theme as financial accountability. I listened to the caucus last evening, and having worked in corporate America and with budgets all my life, I heard the transfer to make the department whole, there is no financial impact. The first one that I listened to was the transfer of 10,000, I'll use that, or 14,000 in the Department of Recreation with no financial impact. I'm sorry I disagree with that, and I truly believe John Toohey is a professional, and I've had the opportunity to speak to him on many occasions. And he's a professional, and he certainly knows what he is doing. But we discussed this, and I have worked with budgets, and you cannot tell me or the public, because you are the guardians of our tax dollars. We the people elected you into office, and the confidence that voted you in allows you the opportunity to yay or nay when it comes to spending tax dollars. So with that said, I disagree, and I noticed no one questioned any of that last evening with the transfers to make the department whole. That money has to come from another budget line item. If you're not using that money would still be there to spend at a future date. So quite frankly, that money is going above and beyond. And who is managing and governing the budgets all year long in these departments? That should be ongoing by the manager of the department. And I find that unacceptable because you are the guardians of our tax dollars. So with that said, I was looking at the budget from last year. And in December of 2020, on the 11th, $375,000 with a 6-3 vote was voted on for the license plate readers. Now, in our city, we have experienced violence rising out of control, and I don't have to go into all that. The figures don't lie. And first order of business is that safety should be paramount. Without any doubt, safety should be paramount, not only in the city, in our schools, because our lives are at stake when it comes to public safety, and everyone should be granted that right. On August 14th, $298,695 was approved for 29 cameras in hotspots throughout the city. Currently, I did not hear, and if you can correct me if I'm wrong here, if these were grants. It appeared that they were taking from one line item over into the police budget. So I would reassure the taxpayers, the citizens of Kingston, that we are looking out for this equipment. And if it has been purchased and it's functional, then our community is entitled to know that. Getting back to my last order of business, resolution tonight 215 with regard to the Fair Street easement. I am all about progress. I am all about moving forward. I'm a community activist 40 years. I've worked and I've lived here and raised my family. But we must look at the price tag and is it affordable? That's what I look at. $850,000 near $1 million we're giving away an easement, a piece of land, when in fact, we don't even have enough money currently right now, and we're spending it without realizing and managing the line items that are appropriate in our budget. The need is scattered. You have the Elmendorf, you have that needs to be fixed, and the more it's not fixed, the more the price increases to fix it. We went through that with the sinkhole, excuse me. And also with the Planet Wings, $2 million. Our priorities are very scattered, but yet the price tag is unaffordable. So with that said, I just want to bring your attention to the fact that it's budget season right now. You're creating the budget now. So please take the opportunity and look at the fact that you are the guardians of our tax dollars? And have we implemented the safety issues that were discussed? And are they in place for our citizens to feel safe? Are we moving money from one area to the other because we're not governing and managing it appropriately? I feel that that is not, I'm not saying that, excuse me, our comptroller is doing that. He's doing his job. I give you that. But I still do not feel that is appropriate. So in closing, I urge you to take a look at the budget, what was moved into the budget last year or moved into the police department budget. What happened to those funds? The community deserves to know that. So I thank you for the opportunity and have a good evening. I'll be listening. Thank you.
Eugene, next speaker, please.
Ruben Cash,
Ruben, are you there? Okay, can we move to the next speaker? Come back.
Izora Rivera,
I also don't see. Zora, are you there? Next speaker.
Sheila Davidson,
All right, I did see her.
I'm here. I'm sorry, I actually don't have remarks prepared. I didn't realize I was signed up to speak. This is around good cause eviction. I'll certainly say that I'm in favor of that.
We're not voting on that tonight, but you could talk to us about anything you wish. I did receive the clerk and I did receive your name this afternoon, but you also don't need to address the council. It's up to you.
I'm happy to listen. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next speaker, please.
Natalie Greco,
Also not here. Next speaker.
Robin Ranga,
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Thank you so much for your time. My name is Bravin Runga, and I'm here to speak about the good cause eviction legislation. The statewide eviction moratorium is set to expire in January. And when that happens, the existing housing crisis will hit a boiling point, at which point residents across the city of Kingston will be at risk of eviction and being forced from their homes. Renters in the city of Kingston need good cause eviction legislation passed immediately in order to protect them from the worst consequences of this crisis. This Common Council has demonstrated immense courage by standing up to the real estate lobby, to landlord interests, by taking the first few steps necessary towards passing good cause legislation, by drafting legislation, pushing it through committee, and setting public hearing. However, despite broad support on this Common Council, and as demonstrated by repeated public comment and the public hearing, broad support from the public, this legislation has been delayed due to procedural issues. To be clear, some of these procedural issues have been created as a political tactic to prevent this desperately needed legislation from being passed. I urge the Common Council to act with all due haste to finalize the legislation, pass it through the Laws and Rules Committee meeting next week, and have it read by the full Common Council in December in order for it to be passed before the eviction moratorium expires in January. As I mentioned, when that moratorium expires, residents in the city of Kingston will face an immediate and an intense and an unprecedented crisis of eviction and unaffordability. This Common Council has taken the first few steps to address it, and I urge you not to stop now and continuing this process. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
That's all I have.
There was one more name. It's Ann Stebinger.
What about Clark Richter's?
All right, so Ann.
Yeah, I'm
I
here.
did receive an email with Ann's name.
I didn't.
Yeah, my name is Ann Stebinger, and I'm supporting good cause eviction. I'm a renter and I pay $1,600 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. And I feel that that is reasonable. I have heard, however, that landlords are getting.
Say, I wanted to speak.
I've heard that landlords are getting much, much more than that. And I'm concerned. I've heard through the grapevine that my landlords are going to be raising the rent, and I just pray that it will, be something reasonable. That's yet to be determined. I'm retired and I'm on a fixed income. I've lived in this apartment for 24 years, and I realize that technically it is not my home, but it very much feels like my home. So, I'm pretty nervous about, the way the market is just spiraling out of control. I feel that a society, needs to be judged by how it treats the members of that society. And I realize that market forces are a big force in American culture. But I think people's lives are also really important too. And I'm dismayed to see, that landlords can just gouge as much as the market will permit, and that people's lives aren't taken into consideration. I think people's lives are just as important as market forces. I believe they're more important. Yeah, I've also heard, in another meeting, I heard that a lot of landlords are very concerned that good cause eviction will actually hurt tenants. And I'm quite skeptical of that because I feel that, if landlords were so concerned about the well-being of tenants, we wouldn't be in this crisis, that we're in. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Clark, I see your hand is up. We didn't get your email to sign up, but please feel free to address us if you would like to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Clark.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I don't know why I sent it, but I sent a lot of emails too. I've been really busy on my virtual, I would say, vacation from the council with sending emails. And I would like to, well, first I'd like to say, public safety is, number one priority, because even though we haven't had anything serious in the city of Kingston, it could happen. And it just is like you have to be proactive, basically, instead of reactive. So I support the good cause eviction. I think that if you own more than 2 rentals, you should get hit with the regulation fee of, I think it's 1,000. I think you should push it to 5,000. It's more of a flip business for the it's a business. It's like another business. If they're going to charge the tenants, and you say, I would say, we have unfortunate that they're right now they're working on the homeless shelter and where the restaurant is. So we definitely have a whole situation here. And if the good cause eviction doesn't prevent people getting put on the street, then the council is going to have to deal with more of a public safety aspect of it. If you look at Seattle and the rest of the towns, you're going to have people camping on the streets on Broadway, right in the bike lanes. If we don't address that, and I'll be quick. I just want to push public access, because you guys are talking about how you're going to spend so many dollars on mailers to inform the public, and that's great, but you're really, for some reason, you're just overlooking public access, and the people are paying the franchise fee that you're collecting, but you're not turning it back into your communications. I'm hoping someday the council will step up and say, we can really inform people here with public access. Open up discussions. It shouldn't be like, either you have the money to pay for the newspaper or you don't know what's going on. I don't think it's fair. People are already paying the franchise agreement. And lastly, I'll leave you with, I do not support abandoning Fair Street Extension. As a longtime resident of the city of Kingston, and I would say a driver, I know that's really going to cause a traffic problem. And I just like to add to, there's a comment that I read online about putting a stop sign in. Enough with the stop signs. There's no need for a stop sign on Washington and Maris Avenue, where the pizza place is. I think that the DeFalcos are right. In that area, you have to go slow anyway, and because you're really with the school and stuff like that. So, but I think the city of Kingston has plenty of stop signs. I'm still concerned about the traffic light on Wilbur Avenue in Greenkill. I think that's really going to cause problems in the future. So with that, I'll wait until next month until I speak again. Thank you for your time.
Clark, that's all we have for public speaking. I'm going to close that portion of the meeting. We now enter into claims and communications. Hearing no discussion, they will be on file in the clerk's office. Can I get a motion to dispense with the second reading of the general bills and pay same? Motion by Rennie Scott Childress, second by Steve Shabbat. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. We now enter into the report of committees, starting with resolution number 209.
Resolution 209 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting a transfer in the Parks and Recreation Department in the amount of $14,000 to balance the budget.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 210, please.
Resolution 210 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting a transfer in the Parks and Recreation Department in the amount of $636 to cover additional expenses for the Everett Hodge Community Center for its drop-in school support program.
On the question? Hearing no debate, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 211, please.
Resolution 211 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting a transfer in the Building Safety Department in the amount of $1,800 to cover the expense of additional vehicle maintenance.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 212, please.
Resolution 212 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting a transfer in the city clerk's office in the amount of $6,950 to cover the expense replacing the panic button control panel and devices at City Hall.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 213, please.
Resolution 213 of 2021, an ordinance amending an ordinance in relation to the traffic on the public streets of the City of Kingston, New York, adding handicap parking on South Prospect Street.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 214, please.
Resolution 214 of 2021, an ordinance amending an ordinance in relation to the traffic on the public streets of the city of Kingston, New York, adding limited time parking on Wine Coop Place.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 215, please.
Resolution 215 of 2021, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting authorization for conveyance of an easement to the Kingstonian Development LLC and authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary.
On the question? Alderman Patrick O'Reilly. Unmute yourself.
I motion to suspend the rules on this so that we can schedule a public hearing on the abandonment part of this resolution.
So you're motioning to suspend the rules. Is
So
there a
that we
second?
can, so that we can separate the authorization for the easement and the resolution, separate the resolution into two pieces, authorization for the easement, and then a second part, another part in the approval of the partial street closure and abandonment. And then we can go ahead and have a public hearing on the partial street closure and abandonment section.
All right, great. Thanks for that clarification. So there's a motion on the floor to suspend the rules. Is there a second to suspend the rules? Second by Rita Worthington. All in favor to suspend the rules? Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. The rules are suspended. So Patrick, you want to tell us what we would then be voting for? So to separate them.
Yeah, I'd like
right?
to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to separate the resolution into two different sections. One section authorizing that's authorization for the easement, and one that is approval. Another section that's approval for the partial street closure abandonment. Is that possible? So that we can then,
And the
I can-
partial abandonment would be going back to committee, correct?
not necessarily, I was more interested in it having a public hearing.
Right, so it's going back. We're not voting on it. I'm just,
Yes, we table that, yes.
yeah, I'm just restating it just so it's clear.
Okay,
So there's a motion to separate the easement from the partial abandonment, and the partial abandonment would go back to public hearing. Is there a
Yes.
second to that motion? Second by Steve Shabbat. Is there, all right, so I'll call for the vote. Actually, sorry, is there any discussion on this matter before I call for the vote? Alderman Tony Davis?
Yes, Chairwoman, Madam President. I think part of this, so this would have to go back before we could put a motion in to set a date for the public hearing. Why could we not do that right now?
To do what? Set a date for the public
Set a
hearing?
public hearing date for the, yes, for the partial, and consent for the partial abandonment. Why can't we set a date right now to have that public hearing?
Well, we don't need to have a committee vote on the public hearing. I'll just talk to Rennie and we could set a public hearing date tomorrow
All right, thank
and
you.
announce it. Yep. Anybody else on the discussion?
So I just want to make clear, we're voting first on a motion to separate the easement from the abandonment. And because we've agreed to the easement, that if we vote, we'll have to vote then on that after we come back into regular session.
Correct.
So right now we're just voting on separating the two issues out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying. So we do have a motion and a second on the floor, right, Elisa? All right, so there's a motion and a second to separate the two parts of the resolution. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0.
Do we need a specific motion and second and so forth to send it back to committee?
That, I'm not sure, so I'll have Kevin step in.
No, at this, there's nothing that's going to go back to committee. Now is the question is there, what is the language for the motion that's being passed now? So there's going to be, correct, there's going to be a motion to pass the easements. So,
Right, so we need a motion for somebody needs to make a motion to
What-
state the new resolution 215 that will just include the easement, correct? Kevin?
yes, correct. So Patrick, you're looking to have the easement passed alone. So there is a proposed committee report and resolution to deal with that issue specifically, which should be read and then voted on by the council.
So our rules are still suspended. So the next, Patrick, if I'm following what you want, the next step would be to make a motion for this new resolution 215.
Okay, I make a motion for a new motion, resolution, for a new resolution 215 for the authorization of the easement.
Is that good enough, Kevin?
No, what Elisa needs to do is read the proposed language.
The original proposed language.
The proposed language based on this motion that you just made. There is language and in the resolution consistent with the application.
So the heading of the resolution is not going to change. What is changing is the body of the resolution. So I can reread the heading if you're prepared for that.
I thought we had a new heading though.
They're both have been changed.
Okay, so do you want to hear the old one first so that you can see what the difference is?
No, just
Okay.
the new one.
All right, so the new one with the corrections that were just proposed is Resolution 215 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting authorization for conveyance of an easement to the Kingstonian Development LLC and authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary.
So this motion is to change resolution 215 to that language. Is there a second? Second by Tony Davis. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. So we now have a new resolution 215. So we can enter back into our meeting and then formally vote on resolution 215. Patrick, is there anything else?
Yeah. Should I, Kevin, should I motion to table the partial street closure abandonment pending a hearing?
No, there's no need to do that. All Andrea has to do is schedule a date for the hearing.
Do I need a motion to request her to state that schedule that public hearing?
No,
I don't need a motion for that?
no.
Okay,
And it's already
Thank
on my
you.
to-do list. All
okay,
right,
thank you.
we are entering back into our meeting and we are now on resolution 215, please. The new one, Elisa?
Resolution 215 of 2021. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting authorization for conveyance of an easement to the Kingstonian Development LLC and authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 8-1. The opposition vote was Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch. Moving to resolution 216, please.
Resolution 216 of 2021, amending the fee schedule to reflect rates for annual hotel fees.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 217, please.
Resolution 217 of 2021, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting authorization for the citywide sewer phase 1 and 2 project in the amount of $855,000 and authorizing the mayor to execute any and all contracts for the project.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote as soon as Tony gets back. Tony, I need you on the screen. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 218, please.
Resolution 218 of 2021, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting the Common Council to accept the 2020 audited financials as prepared by RBT CPAs.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 219, please.
Resolution 219 of 2021, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing settlement and reducing the 2018-19, 2019-20, 2020-21, and 2021-22 assessment roll for 19 to 21 Main Street, LLC, SBL number 48.331-4-14 for property located at 21 Main Street.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 220, please.
Resolution 220 of 2021, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, amending section 360, schedule 16, parking prohibited certain hours.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 221, please.
Resolution 221 of 2021, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, requesting the manufacturing and placement of crosswalk posts and pedestrian flags.
On the question? Alderman Tony Davis.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. After yesterday's last night's discussion in regard to about how we determine if these crosswalk and flags posts are going to be sufficient or working, and I would like to request that the residents or the community reach out to your alderperson, or you can reach out to me at Ward 6 and at kingston-ny.gov, and so we can get your feedback in regard to what your thoughts are on this crosswalk and flags. So, and I would like to hear everybody's feedback on it, so then going forward, we can determine if this is something that the community thinks should be implemented in other places around Kingston, or if they feel that is not sufficient or not working. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Here, no more discussion. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 222, please.
Resolution 222 of 2021, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, amending section 390.644.
On the question? Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to amend this resolution to include language that would add the addition of a mailing not to exceed the cost of $7,000 to go out to the public, the citywide, to update the community on snow emergency routes, and that parking will be prohibited for the duration of the snow emergency. Thank you.
Is that a second ready? That part would have to go through the finance committee.
Yes, last night in caucus, we were told to add that tonight. And then it would go to finance for us to pass that.
Okay. So any discussion on the change? Rennie Scott Childress?
Yeah, I fully concur with this because as we've noted in a number of venues, there's so many different ways of communicating. And I fear that anything short of sending a communication to all of our addresses is going to miss some people in an important way. So I fully support this amendment.
Anyone else? Tony Davis, Alderman Tony Davis?
Thank you, Madam President. I think this language should be somehow in this language that this communication that's going to go out should one address and what to do if you live in a snow emergency on a snow emergency road or roadway, but also and somehow in this communication just reminding the other city residents and what they should be doing when a snow emergency is put into effect. And so I think it should be two parts to this, and this communication, one, and for snow emergency and people who live on snow emergency roads, that it's been requested by DPW that they have to remove their cars from the roadways. And then another part of this communication is just reminding the other city residents what to do in a snow emergency. And I believe.
Oh, sorry. You want to keep going?
I just think that, and that will all. I don't think that has to be all here in this resolution is to pass, but I think that would be conversations with DPW and Ed Norman, Dan Quizell, the mayor's office in regard in the communications office of exactly how that should read.
Tony, as Chair of Public Safety, can you take it upon yourself to follow up with DPW and parking enforcement?
Yep, I put a note here to contact DPW, the mayor's office and Summer Smith and what kind of communication should go out in regard to this.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else on the discussion for the amendment? Alderman Steve Shabbat?
Yeah, I just had a thought as this is being discussed, and I'm not sure, how we can go about this, or whether DPW would have this information, but I think we want to make very sure that the snow emergency routes are clearly marked. I mean, I see various signs. I don't know if they cover everything. I'm presuming they do, but perhaps DPW could just make sure the routes are clearly marked, so there's no confusion when this happens.
I believe they are, Steve, but I would also encourage you to reach out to DPW to just make sure I'm correct. Anyone else on the discussion? Alderwoman Rita Worthington?
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. Also, I mean, it's November now, So the snow is coming. I would hope that these mailers or this communication would get out to all of the city residents prior to enforcing this snow emergency. I don't think it should be done until residents have been told about it. Hopefully that will happen.
Thank you. So again, we still have the amendment on the floor to vote for. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I'm going to call for the vote to amend Resolution 222. Hearing no more discussion, I'll call for the vote. This is voting for amending Resolution 222. All in favor?
Andrea, can you clarify what the language is in terms of the amendment?
Elisa, do you have it?
I'm a little confused. Let me just tell you what I have, and then you can let me know if this is correct. So
Elisa, you're muted.
sorry, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, amending section 390644, mailing not to exceed $7,000 to inform City of Kingston residents of snow emergencies. Is that correct? Is that what you wanted to say?
No, it would just be, the amendment is adding, so you would still have the amending section, parking prohibited during snow emergencies with, and then with a mailer to go out not to exceed $7,000. So the amendment is adding a part, not taking anything else away.
I wasn't taking anything out. It's just in the heading. I think, is that what, Michelle, you're asking for? That the language be in the heading of the resolution, in addition to adding a section 4 to the body of the resolution?
Wherever it needs to go. I know that when we did the committee report, it was no parking on snow emergency routes after a snow emergency has been declared by the City of Kingston for duration of the snow emergency, and include a mailing to the public not to exceed $7,000. I don't know.
The limit doesn't have to be added to the caption. It should be in the body.
Okay, so then what we're adding would be a section 4, that a mailing would go out to city residents to inform them of the changes for snow emergencies, and that fee is not to exceed $7,000. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So the heading would be the same. So it will still sound like we're voting for the same thing, but we are making this amendment. All right.
Andrea, I have
Alderman Patrick O'Reilly.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just wondering, this snow plowing is only going to affect people on the emergency routes. Why are we sending a notice out to everyone? Every city resident? Why aren't we just notifying people that it affects directly if it's their street that's being plowed?
I believe we wanted to include language in there, so I'm sorry.
Alderman Tony Davis, and then Alderman Steve Shabbat.
I believe we wanted to include language in this, and for just remind residents of what their residents who are not on the snow routes, what their duties are and to do in regard to a snow emergency. So we're sending it out to everyone. And I don't know how inclusive we can do it with snow emergencies. Just send it out to people on snow emergency routes. We would have people who've moved to snow emergency routes that weren't there before. We have people who have left snow emergency routes. And so that's going to be very tenuous to try to figure out who to send it to on snow emergency routes. So I think the discussion or my thoughts were send it out to all the city residents, and with the language, if you live on a snow emergency routes, this is what you're supposed to do. If you don't live on a snow emergency routes, this is a reminder what you should be doing during a snow emergency. So then everybody's getting it.
Thank you. Just a reminder, we still need to follow the rules. So council members two talks each. So we have Alderman Steve Shabbat and then Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch, which will both be your second time. So
Thank you.
Alderman Shabbat.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to add to that. There's nothing saying you have to live on the snow emergency route to park there. You could live around a block or 2 blocks away and still park your car on the emergency snow route. So I think that's one of the reasons everybody has to be notified of it. You don't necessarily have to live there to park there.
Thank you, Alderwoman Hirsch.
Yes, Alderwoman Hirsch here. I was going to say that we are looking at close to 30 streets in the city of Kingston that are snow emergency routes, and that includes Broadway, Delaware Avenue, Garrigan Drive, Albany Avenue, quite a few streets that are in commercial areas as well. And people that will be coming into those areas need to know what, procedure will be ahead of time. Thank you.
All right, the amendment is still on the floor. Hearing no more discussion, I'm calling for the vote to amend the resolution. All in favor? Opposed? Patrick, is that a yes or no? Okay. Motion to amend resolution 222 passes 8-1. The opposition vote was Alderman Patrick O'Reilly. So now we're back to resolution 222 with the amendment in the body. Elisa, can you read the heading again?
Resolution 222 of 2021, an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, amending section 390.644.
On the question. Hearing no more discussion, I'll call for the, Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch.
Yes, Alderwoman Hirsch, I'd just like to thank DPW for putting together a snow emergency plan so that our city can be well informed in advance of how things will go during future snowstorms, and that residents will be able to safely park and have their cars off the streets, and our DPW crews can get our streets plowed so everyone can remain safe during snow emergencies. Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing no more discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. I believe that ends our resolutions, our communications rather. Before we have Alderman Rennie Scott Childress.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move that we suspend the rules in order to discuss going back to in-person meetings.
There is a motion to dispense or suspend the rules. Is there a second? Second by Patrick O'Reilly. All in favor to suspend the rules? Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. We are now, our rules are now suspended. Rennie Scott Childress.
I would like to move that the Common Council return to in-person meetings after a period of 5 days, because I believe we need to allow the public to have adequate awareness before we do this. So, for example, tomorrow night's meeting, I think it'd be too wrenching to go back. So the motion is to return to in-person meetings for Common Council meetings after a period of 5 days from today.
There's a motion. Is there a second? Second by Steve Shabbat. No. Well, let's have a second so we could discuss it. Is there a second? Second by Tony Davis. Now we could discuss it. Steve Shabbat, Alderman Steve Shabbat, please.
Yeah, actually, I had a question. I'll stay with the second, but my question is that going to be enough time, to get everything ready? We might want to think about it, maybe a later date. Somebody suggested, following Thanksgiving. I don't want to see us cut ourselves short and, have this all announced and, have the chambers not ready to go, either cleaned or audio visual equipment, whatever is needed there. We just want to make sure everything is right. I'm not sure if we're allowing ourselves adequate time.
Do you believe, I'm just going to jump in with the answer there. I do believe it will give us time. It definitely gives the public enough notice. The issue with the cleaning was just from meetings this week. We should be able to be fine following this week. And the issue with the hybrid, from what I have heard from Kyle, is we should be set to go. Full chairs will just need to press a button. So it's not hard work to be able to do it. Elisa will still be able to do the live stream from her computer virtually. Does that answer or make you comfortable? Okay. Anybody else on the question? Tony Davis?
Thank you, Madam President. I think it was about a month ago now, and that we were in the chambers roughly, and it was decided after a few meetings that we were going to go back to virtual. And I believe many people are on board with that. So I'm just trying to grasp or understand what has changed, and that we should be going back into chambers. And I'm not sure about the data, and are the numbers in the city of Kingston going down, Ulster County going down? And so just wanted to get a feel for and why is being discussed or going back to in person.
Sure. I saw Rennie Scott Childress raise his hand. Do you want to answer that?
Yes, I appreciate your concern, Tony. The difference is that when we decided to go back, there was a period there where the Delta numbers were increasing pretty rapidly, and there was a deep concern that we didn't know where they would plateau. But now not only have they plateaued, but they're beginning to descend. And I think that we've also established very clearly proper practice. So people wearing masks, wearing them appropriately. I think most people now, vast majority of us certainly have been vaccinated, not just with the 2 doses, but now sometimes the triple dose. So for myself, I feel much more comfortable going back into in-person meetings, again, so long as we follow the protocols of wearing masks and keeping somewhat distanced.
We also have the hybrid set up too, Tony, which we didn't then. Tony?
I guess my second part is, I remember before I was talking about, and I was leaning towards in favor of going and remaining in person if we were going to be able to, practice social distance, which means then maybe reducing the people who are coming into the chambers. And has that been discussed? Can that be discussed? And
we will still follow the city hall's rules, which everybody needs to be masked. That's not an option. You have to wear a mask. Visitors have to sign in, and there is a social distancing. So we will follow the same protocol that City Hall follows all day long.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? So we have a motion by Rennie Scott Childress to return back to meetings. I have the date as November 15th. That'll be the 5 days on a Monday. A second by Tony Davis. I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Doug, I didn't get your thumb. Are you a yes or no? Or frozen? Doug, are you in favor of returning?
Returning to in-person meetings?
Is that a yes vote? I just didn't catch your thumb. Doug, are you yes or no? Alderman Doug Coop? Yes. Okay. Motion is adopted 9-0. We will be returning to council chambers on November 15th. That is actually our first budget meeting. Just do remember to wear masks and practice social distancing. Thank you. Alderman Tony Davis.
Just a follow-up, I know this, do we contact Kyle Mack, or will he be there? How will we, just to make sure which button we're hitting, if we're a chair or something for these meetings? And I just want to, am I supposed to contact him, or will he be there to show us what we need to do?
I would reach out to, so all the chairs reach out to Kyle. It's easy, it's just a button, but if the chairs could reach out to him, that would be great. All right. Elisa?
It's my understanding that Kyle will provide written instructions to everyone.
Great, even better. All right, moving along. Does anybody have anything else at the end of our meeting? I have a couple people I want to close in memory of. Does anybody else? Alderman Steve Shabbat.
Thank you. I have two. The first is Dutchess County Sheriff Butch Anderson. He recently passed. He was 74 years old. I've known Butch for about probably 55 or 60 years. Born and raised in Pauling. Actually, he was the mayor of Pauling also for an 8-year term. He's been Dutchess County Sheriff since 1970. He rose up, he was detective. He has a huge list of citations and awards that he won as a detective. He's been sheriff since 1999 and was still in office when he died about a month ago. And I just found this out recently. In his initial swearing in, he was sworn in by James Earl Jones, a friend of his. He's been very active in the community throughout Dutchess County. He's been involved in major fundraising for, juvenile diabetes, just about anything you can imagine. It's kind of like his full-time job over there. But he's been an exceptional figure over in Dutchess County. Sadly, still a young guy. He leaves behind a wife, 3 kids, and a sister. So sad to see him go. I haven't seen him in a while, but I did get a congratulations. The first time I was elected alderman, I got a congrats from him. And the second one is a classmate of mine, Hermine Shu Kaiser, graduated with me in class of 69. I worked with Hermine for over 30 years at the Department of Social Services. Hermine was a really kind and compassionate person, accomplished musician. She was kind of ahead of the curve back in high school, playing guitar in little cafes and clubs, and great voice. She retired as a director of Medicaid at the Department of Social Services, where I worked also. Unfortunately, Hermine lost both her husband and her daughter Katie in a very brief time a couple of years ago, and it really took a lot out of her. I felt really, really bad for her. But she does leave behind a very large and loving Kaiser family. I'm sure everybody knows 1 or 2 of the Kaisers. She leaves a sister, 3 brothers, and a grandson. Very sad to see her passing. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I have 2 that I would like to close in memory of Lynn Evans Isaacs, better known around the city as Lee Isaacs. She passed away about a month ago. She was very active when I represented her ward, and very active in the city. And I'm going to miss her, seeing her around at events. And then the other is in memory of Joe Shuang, who is a Kingston High School graduate and IBMer. He also served in the Army Reserves. When I moved back to Kingston after college, my first job was at the Reformed Church of the Comforter on Wine Coop Place, and I was their organist for 10 years. And Joe and his wife Muffy and their whole family were very active. I believe Joe was a deacon and an elder at some point within the decade that I worked there. It was a really, really wonderful family, and Joe and Muffy were really close. And then I got to serve as his representative too. So I will definitely miss Joe, and my condolences to Muffy and to Joe and Karen and Jill and Patrick and all the grandkids. And if there's nobody else, I also just want to thank all the veterans who are here and listening. Thursday is Veterans Day. We do have a ceremony at City Hall. I can't remember the time because I will not be in town, unfortunately, to celebrate our veterans here in Kingston, but I hope that anybody who's around can attend. Does anybody know the time for that?
It's 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. So anybody who's here who served, thank you for your service. Alderman Patrick O'Reilly.
I'd like to mention in memory, to end the meeting, in memory of Joanne Coutant, a longtime teacher in the city of Kingston, over 35 years teaching elementary level, just touching all those young children's lives. She's a wonderful woman, and her daughter Linda, my wife, and her sister Lisa. My heart goes out to them. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Anybody else? Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Motion by Steve Shabbat, second by Rennie Scott Childress. All in favor? Opposed? We hereby stand adjourned until the next regularly scheduled meeting on December 7th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. And we will see you virtually tomorrow at Finance and then in person on November 15th. Thank you all. Have a nice night.
Good night.